Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Look in the mirror and understand this. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to hand you your worth. You either focus and value yourself, or the world will treat you like you don't matter. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for recognition. It's time to claim your value. It's time to focus. Listen to me. You've been sleeping on yourself. You've been living distracted, living unfocused, living beneath your potential. And here's the truth. Every single day you waste is a day you don't get back. Time doesn't rewind. Time doesn't pause. Time doesn't care about your excuses. Yeah, you've got to wake up and get serious about your life. Too many people live like they've got forever. They scroll for hours, binge for hours, complain for hours, and then wonder why their dreams are dying. Let me hit you straight. It's not that you don't have time. You do. You're just not focused. Okay, come in. Take back control of your time right now. Stop saying you don't have enough hours in the day. You've got the same artistry hours as the greatest in the world. The difference, they're focused. They know where every minute is going. They don't waste energy on distractions. They don't let Netflix, TikTok, or somebody else's drama run their day. They run their own day. One-liner. If you don't control your time will control you. You've got to understand, focus is life or death for your dream. Without focus, your vision stays blurry. Without focus, your energy is wasted. Without focus, your goals turn into wishes. And wishes don't pay bills. Wishes don't build businesses. Wishes don't create freedom. All right. Here's what I need you to do. Look at your life and be brutally honest. Where are you wasting time? Who are you wasting time with? What habits are stealing your focus? Write them down, call them out, and cut them off. Command, eliminate the distractions today, not tomorrow. Today. Stop telling me you'll start Monday. Stop saying next year will be my year. No. It starts right now. Your life changes the moment your focus changes. This is about waking up to the truth. You are responsible for your future. Nobody else. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends. You. And the first step to owning your future is owning your focus. You've got one life, one shot. Stop living like you've got another one in the bank. Lock in. Focus up. Value your time, because once it's gone, you don't get it back. One-liner, you can't change your past, but you can focus your future. Recognize your worth. You've been undervaluing yourself for too long. You've been waiting for people to tell you that you're good enough, smart enough, worthy enough, and that's why you're stuck. Because the truth is, when you don't recognize your value, nobody else will either. Stop living like you're on the clearance rack. Stop treating yourself like you're discounted. You are not a bargain. You are not secondhand. You are not a backup plan. You are the full price. You are the real deal. But until you see it, the world won't treat you that way. Some of you keep accepting less because you don't believe you deserve more. You stay in jobs that don't value you. You stay in relationships that drain you. You stay around people who don't respect you. And every time you accept less than you deserve, you teach the world how to treat you. Command, stop settling. Stop shrinking. Stop selling yourself short. One-liner. When you know your worth, you stop giving discounts. Listen, your value isn't tied to their opinion. Your value isn't tied to your mistakes. Your value isn't tied to your past. Your value is tied to your potential, your discipline, your drive, Your ability to get back up when life knocks you down. You know, some of you walk around like you're average. Let me tell you, you're not average. You were never meant to be average. You were built with gifts, with skills, with a purpose only you can fulfill. But here's the catch. Purpose means nothing if you don't believe in it. Potential means nothing if you don't act on it. Command. Respect yourself enough to raise your standards. You know, that means stop hanging out with people who don't push you. Stop accepting opportunities that don't grow you. Stop saying yes to everything just because you're afraid of saying no. When you recognize your worth, you start saying no to what doesn't align and yes to what takes you higher. Yeah? This is not about hype. It's about identity. You've been defining yourself by the wrong things, your failures, your fears, your insecurities. But that's not your worth. Your worth is not negotiable. Your worth doesn't drop because you fail. Your worth doesn't decrease because someone walked away. Your worth doesn't disappear because someone else doesn't see it. Yo, let me make this clear. Value yourself first. Not when you succeed. Not when you finally get the job. Not when you get the degree. Not when you buy the car or the house. Value yourself now. Because if you don't value yourself in the struggle, you won't value yourself in the success. Command, start acting like you matter. Because you do. Yeah. That means when you wake up in the morning, carry yourself with purpose. That means when you walk into a room, walk like you belong there. That means when you speak like your voice matters. Stop apologizing for existing. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop apologizing for demanding respect. People will treat you according to the standard you set for yourself. If you keep walking small, talking small, thinking small, people will treat you small. But when you raise your level, when you respect yourself, when you set boundaries, people either rise to meet you or fall away. And either way, you win. One-liner. When you recognize your worth, you change the game. You know? So here's the assignment for this hour. Write down your standards. Write down what you will no longer accept. Write down what you're truly worth and start living like it. Because if you don't recognize your worth, you'll waste your life chasing validation from people who don't even value themselves. But when you finally value, you stop chasing and you start attracting. Our is about ownership. Own your worth. Own your standard. Own your value. Focus is the greatest weapon you've got. But most people never learn how to use it. You got the energy. You got the passion. You got the potential. But without focus, it all leaks out. You're pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you pour, it never fills. That's why some of you feel exhausted all the time. It's not because you're not working. It's because you're working on everything and finishing nothing. You got 10 goals, 20 plans, 30 distractions, and 0 results. Command, narrow your vision. Kill the noise. Lock in on what matters. One-liner. Scattered energy produces scattered results. Think about a magnifying glass. On its own, it's nothing special. It's just glass. But when you put it in the right position, when you focus it, it can take the power of the sun and set something on fire. That's what focus does. It takes your scattered energy and turns it into fire. Right? But here's the problem. Most people never stop long enough to aim. They're moving, but they're not progressing. They're busy, but they're not productive. They confuse activity with achievement. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. Command. Stop being busy. Start being focused. Ask yourself, what are the top 3 things that if you focus on them would change your life? Not 10, not 23. Because here's the truth. Until you learn to focus on the few, you'll never master the many. Okay? Some of you don't need another opportunity. You need focus. Some of you don't need another degree. You need focus. Some of you don't need more hours in the day. You need focus. One-liner. Focus turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Let me be real with you. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. Every time you pick up your phone when you should be working, you're training your mind to lose focus. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals, you're lowering your standard. Every time you allow gossip, drama, or comparison into your space, you're weakening your focus. Our Sanny's about sharpening that focus. It's about saying, I'm done scattering my energy. I'm done dividing my attention. I'm done letting distractions steal my destiny. Yeah. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do the right things consistently. Winners don't win because they do more. Winners win because they do what matters most over and over again without distraction. So what does this look like? It looks like creating a daily system. It looks like setting priorities and sticking to them. It looks like building routines that support your focus, not destroy it. It looks like saying no to what doesn't grow you. Command, choose focus over feelings. Choose progress over pleasure. Choose discipline over distraction. Some days you won't feel like focusing. That's normal. But listen, focus isn't about feelings, it's about commitment. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to do it. Our Sen is your reminder that power doesn't come from doing a little bit of everything. Power comes from doing the right thing with full intensity. Focus is the difference between those who talk about their dreams and those who live them. One-liner. Focus is the bridge between potential and results. Stop living for approval. You will never reach your full potential if you're living for applause. You will never reach your dream if you're waiting on permission. And you will never find peace if your identity is tied to other people's opinions. Some of you are stuck not because you don't have talent, not because you don't have the drive, but because you care too much about what people think. You're chasing likes instead of chasing purpose. You're chasing claps instead of chasing legacy. Come in. Stop trying to impress people who aren't even impressed with themselves. One-liner, approval doesn't pay your bills and it won't build your future. Think about it. You can give everything you've got, work your heart out, sacrifice and grind, and somebody will still criticize you. Somebody will still doubt you. Somebody will still talk behind your back. And if you keep living for their approval, you will spend your life running in circles. Trying to please people who will never be satisfied. The truth is this. You can't control what people think, but you can control what you produce. You can't control their opinions, but you can control your effort. You can't control their approval, but you can control your purpose. Command, replace validation with vision. Replace applause with action. Replace acceptance with achievement. Some of you post more than you produce. You show off the hustle instead of doing the hustle. Boom! You're addicted to being seen instead of addicted to building something real. Listen, stop trying to prove you're grinding and just grind. Stop trying to show people your dream and just live it until they can't ignore you. One-liner, the loudest approval you'll ever get is the results you create. Hey, when you live for approval, you give away your power. You hand over your peace. You let strangers dictate your destiny. And here's the reality. They don't even care. People are too busy worrying about their own lives to think about yours for more than 5 minutes. Yet you're making lifelong decisions based on 5 minutes of their attention. This is about cutting that cord. It's about saying, I will not let your opinion define me. I will not let your approval control me. I will not let your acceptance limit me. It commands stand firm in who you are, even if nobody claps for you. Because here's the secret. When you stop chasing approval, you free yourself to chase growth. When you stop needing validation, you free yourself to create impact. When you stop begging to be accepted, you finally accept yourself. Hey, look at every legend, every great, every icon. They all had critics. They all had doubters. They all had people who told them they weren't enough. But the reason they made history is simple. They chose purpose over popularity. They chose mission over approval. That's your assignment for this hour. Decide whose voice matters most. Is it the voice of the doubters, the critics, the strangers scrolling on a screen? Or is it your own voice? Is it the vision God put inside you? Is it the purpose burning in your soul? No. One-liner. You can't chase greatness and approval at the same time. Choose one. This is about freedom. Freedom from people's opinions. Freedom from their judgment. Freedom from needing their validation. Because when you stop living for approval, you finally start living for yourself. And that's when you become unstoppable. Energy is your most valuable currency. Not time, not money, not talent. Energy. Because without energy, time is wasted. Without energy, money sits still. Without energy, talent goes unused. The reason some of you are not growing is because you're leaking energy into things, people, and habits that don't deserve it. No, every conversation takes energy. Every environment drains or fuels energy. Every relationship either builds you or bleeds you. And most of you are broke, not because you don't work hard, but because you've been spending your energy on the wrong investments. Command. Stop wasting energy on battles that don't move you closer to your destiny. One-liner. Where your energy goes, your life grows. Some of you are giving premium energy to problems that don't even matter. You're arguing with people online. You're fighting over opinions. You're debating nonsense. You're stressed out about things that won't matter in 5 years. Sometimes they won't even matter in 5 days. And while you're drained from all that noise, your dreams are starving. Protecting your energy means being ruthless about what you allow into your space. It means saying no more often. It means removing toxic relationships, cutting off distractions, and silencing negativity. Some of you think being nice means letting everybody have access to you. But access is earned. Your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves it. Command, guard your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Think about your phone battery. If you open too many apps, leave the screen on, and never plug it in, it dies. Not because the phone is broken, but because the energy wasn't managed. That's you. You're not broken. You're drained. And if you want to perform at your highest level, you've got to learn how to protect your charge. One-liner. You don't run out of dreams. You run out of energy. Stop hanging around people who drain you. Stop entertaining conversations that take more than they give. Stop saying yes to commitments that cost more energy than they return. You are not obligated to keep connections that kill your spirit. Our war is about ownership. Own your environment. Own your schedule. Own your relationships. Own your mental space. You can't control everything in life, but you can control where you put your energy. And once you control that, you control your results. Let's be real. Some of you are working harder than ever and still not moving forward. Not because you lack effort, but because your energy is divided. You're pouring into people who don't pour back. You're showing up for everybody but yourself. You're spending more energy proving yourself than improving yourself. Command, stop running on empty. Stop running on purpose. Your winners don't give everyone access to their energy. Winners are selective. They choose environments that fuel them. They surround themselves with people who sharpen them. They guard their mornings, their routines, their habits, because they know energy management is life management. So the question is, where are you leaking? Where are you drained? Where are you wasting the energy that should be building your future? Be honest, because until you close the leaks, you'll never reach your full power. One-liner, protect your energy and you protect your destiny. This is the line in the sand. It's the moment you decide, I will no longer waste myself on things that don't grow me. I will no longer give my power away. I will no longer drain my future on distractions. From this moment on, my energy belongs to my mission, my growth, and my destiny. Feelings are inconsistent. Discipline is constant. If you build your life on feelings, you'll quit every time it gets hard. If you build your life on discipline, you'll keep moving no matter how hard it gets. Some of you can't stay consistent because you keep negotiating with your feelings. You wake up and decide if you're motivated. You decide if you're in the mood. You decide if it feels right. That's weakness. That's why nothing sticks. That's why you start and stop, year after year. You command, stop giving your feelings the steering wheel. Put discipline in charge. One-liner. Discipline is doing it when it doesn't feel good, when it doesn't feel easy, and when no one's watching. Let's be honest, your feelings lie. Your feelings tell you to hit snooze when you know you need to get up. Your feelings tell you to eat junk when you know it sets you back. Your feelings tell you to scroll when you should be studying. And every time you obey those feelings, you lose ground. Every time you give in, you weaken your future. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline says, show up anyway. Discipline says, do it tired. Discipline says, do it broke. Discipline says, do it scared. Discipline doesn't bend when you don't feel like it. Command, train yourself to obey discipline, not emotion. You don't get greatness by accident. You get it by discipline. The athlete doesn't win gold because they felt like training every day. The entrepreneur doesn't build an empire because they felt like working late every night. The student doesn't graduate top of their class because they felt like studying. They win because they built discipline. One-liner. Your feelings want comfort. Your discipline wants growth. Think about this. Every breakthrough you've ever had came on the other side of discipline. Every time you pushed yourself past what you felt like doing, you leveled up. And every time you let your feelings run the show, you stayed the same. This is about building a system where discipline makes the decisions, not your mood. That means routines. That means habits. That means non-negotiables. When you have non-negotiables, your feelings don't matter. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it? You say, this is who I am. This is what I do. Period. Command. Commit to your standards, not your feelings. Discipline is what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs show up when they feel good. Professionals show up no matter what. Amateurs quit when it gets tough. Professionals grind when it gets tough. Amateurs chase motivation. Professionals chase mastery. Stop thinking discipline is punishment. It's freedom. Discipline frees you from regret. Discipline frees you from wasted time. Discipline frees you from living average. Because when you live by discipline, you don't have to wonder if you'll succeed. You know it's inevitable. One-liner. Discipline is the muscle that carries you when motivation dies. Some of you are asking, when will it get easier? The answer is never, but you get stronger. Your discipline grows. Your ability to push through grows. Your tolerance for hard things grows. And when that happens, what used to break you won't even faze you. This is not about chasing feelings. It's about training discipline. It's about saying, I am not my emotions. I am my actions. And if you can master that, nothing can stop you. Command. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start being disciplined enough to move anyway. Invest in your growth. No, growth doesn't happen by accident. Growth doesn't happen because you want it. Growth happens because you invest in it. You can't expect to rise to the next level if you're not pouring into yourself daily. Some of you are starving your future because you keep spending everything on entertainment, comfort, and convenience while your mind and still stay empty. In a command, stop consuming junk and start investing in your growth. One-liner. If you want to go further, you have to grow stronger. Think about it. Every area of your life reflects the investments you've made. If your body is weak, it's because you didn't invest in discipline and health. If your finances are stuck, it's because you didn't invest in knowledge and strategy. If your mind is stagnant, it's because you didn't invest in learning. You don't get returns on investments you never made. No, some of you spend hours watching shows, scrolling feeds, and entertaining yourself, but you say you don't have time to grow. That's a lie. You have time. You just choose comfort over growth. And let me tell you this, comfort is expensive. Comfort will cost you your reallocate your resources, time, money, energy into your growth. Stop thinking of investment only in dollars. Investment is also in effort, discipline, and consistency. Reading books is investment. Learning new skills is investment. Surrounding yourself with people who push you is investment. Every workout, every study session, every sacrifice is a deposit into your future account. One-liner, growth is not optional if greatness is your goal. Understand this, no one is going to invest in you if you won't invest in yourself. Nobody's writing checks to people who refuse to level up. Nobody's giving opportunities to people who don't sharpen their skills. The world doesn't pay for potential. It pays for value. And you only increase your value when you invest in your growth. This is about intentional deposits. Every day you're either investing or wasting. Every decision is either moving you forward or holding you back. There's no neutral ground. Some of you keep asking for a bigger platform, but you haven't grown enough to handle it. You want more money, but you haven't grown your discipline. You want more opportunities, but you haven't grown your skill set. You want better relationships, but you haven't grown your character. Command. Stop demanding outcomes you haven't grown to earn. The growth is not glamorous. Growth is daily, gritty work. Growth is waking up early, staying consistent, studying when others are sleeping, practicing when others are playing. Growth means you keep sharpening the blade even when nobody notices. Because one day, that blade will cut through obstacles others can't touch. One-liner, what you feed will grow. What you neglect will die. This demands you shift your mindset. Stop seeing investment as loss and start seeing it as fuel. Every sacrifice is seed. Every hour you spend learning is seed. Every dollar you put into development is seed. And seeds don't sprout overnight, but when they do, they multiply beyond measure. Protect your growth like your life depends on it, because it does. If you stop growing, you start dying. If you stop learning, you stop leading. If you stop investing, you stop progressing. Command. Become obsessed with growth. Relentlessly, unapologetically, consistently invest in the person you're becoming. This is the reminder that you are your greatest asset. Your mind, your body, your discipline, your skills, they are the foundation of everything you will ever achieve. And the only way to elevate them is to invest daily, deliberately, and without excuse. To build unshakable self-worth. You can't win long-term if deep down you don't believe you deserve to win. You can't build greatness if you secretly see yourself as average. And you'll never rise if you keep waiting for someone else to tell you that you're valuable. This hour's about worth, real worth. Not the worth people give you. Not the worth titles or paychecks try to define. I'm talking about the worth that comes from within. The worth that no one can take away. Because if your worth is dependent on other people, you'll collapse the moment they stop clapping. Command. Stop renting your value from others. Own it. One-liner self-worth is the foundation that keeps your success from crumbling. Some of you are out here grinding, hustling, sacrificing. But the reason you don't feel fulfilled is because you haven't accepted your own value. You think more money will fix it. You think a promotion will fix it. You think a relationship will fix it. No, it won't. If you don't believe in yourself at the core, everything you gain will feel empty. This is about building self-worth that doesn't shake when you fail, doesn't break when you're criticized, doesn't collapse when things don't go your way. Command, stop tying your worth to performance. Tie it to your identity. You are valuable before the paycheck. You are valuable before the degree. You are valuable before the applause. Your worth is not based on what you do. It's based on who you are. When you internalize that truth, you stop living desperate for approval and start living rooted in purpose. One-liner, your worth isn't negotiable. It's non-refundable. The reason self-worth is critical is because it determines your standard. If you see yourself as average, you'll settle for average. If you see yourself as worthy, you'll only accept environments, relationships, and opportunities that align with your value. Your life rises or falls to the level of your self-worth. And listen, building self-worth takes discipline. It means breaking old beliefs, silencing negative self-talk, and refusing to let your past mistakes define you. You got to rewire your mind daily. I am worth the grind. I am worth the sacrifice. I am worth the results I'm chasing. Command, talk to yourself with the same respect you demand from others. If some of you let doubt speak louder than your destiny, you let fear speak louder than your future. You let insecurity speak louder than your identity. That ends here. Because the way you speak to yourself becomes the standard of how you live. One-liner, if you don't believe in your worth, you'll underprice your life. This is also about protecting your worth. Don't give discounts on your value. Don't shrink to make people comfortable. Oh, next.